There's Blue. He just performed wonderfully on this trip. He got dirty. I'm gonna go inside, take my clothes off and relax, and come back out and put Blue on the center stand and see how Blue made out. The arrangement on the back here just worked perfectly. It really gave me excellent back support. I didn't have to use my heavy rain gear on this trip. I got lucky. The bike cover, I didn't use it every time I stopped, but when I felt uncomfortable where I was at, I put that on and it worked just like I planned. It covered the bike up, nothing shown. Saddlebag was great. Now the seat, a little portable seat, a lot of people were interested what it was, but I only used it one time. On another long trip like this, I wouldn't be taking it. It's more of a take it on a day trip when you're gonna maybe have a stop and have lunch somewhere in a picnic table or something like that. But I took it, but I wouldn't do it again. What can I say about my Airhawk? I absolutely love that Airhawk. I basically took this extremely long trip, and it just was a lifesaver. When I say a butt saver, I should put it that way. For me, it really worked good. I know a lot of other people have different arrangements for long distance traveling, but for me, the Airhawk is hands down for me is what I'll be using, did use and will be using again on long trips. I did transfer clothing between this backpack and this waterproof duffel bag here, depending upon the climate. I started off with cold weather gear in here and warm weather gear in the bag. Once I got farther north into Canada, I took the cool weather gear out of here, transferred it in and swapped around so that when I went into the hotel, I had the appropriate clothes for me to put on for that particular climate. So swapping clothes back and forth between these two worked excellent. The visors that I took with me are the reflective, the yellow, and the just the clear. The reflective I use down here in the deep south. The heavy sun works good, but I changed over to the yellow one when I got closer to Canada, and as it turns out, I used the yellow one the vast majority of the trip. With the overcast due to either smoke or fog, that yellow is just outstanding. So between the yellow and the reflective, those are the ones I used. Never did use the clear. After having used that yellow one, I'm not sure where I'll use the clear at, but I got it, and at some point in time I'll probably use it. Now my Cardo unit, what I used that for, I didn't talk to any other riders, but what I did do was make phone calls via CarPlay. The bike has CarPlay as part of the electronic package. Now, the problem is, once you get up around the South Dakota, North Dakota, and Canada and Alaska, the phone service is very sparse. So at that point, you can't make any more phone calls, so I basically turned the Cardo off, and I really didn't use it a whole lot. The spot unit, a little something I invented a while ago, was used throughout the trip. My wife tracked me. I had it set up for tracking every 30 minutes. She knew where I was within 30 minutes on the whole trip. And in addition, I'd send her a check-in okay message when I pulled in for the night. So it was a good way for her to follow me where I was at, and also know that that I was safe at night in some type of a hotel or cabin. And take a look at the tires. There is some wear on both sides, but that's with 9,000 miles worth of traveling. No vibrations coming out of the using the Centromatic. So that's the front tire. The rear tire, there's just all kind of rubber left on that rear tire. I don't know if that's 9,000 miles worth. I probably got another I don't know, 9,000 miles left on it. Blue definitely got dirty. I picked up all kind of stuff. I don't know what that red stuff is. Well, it's going to be, looks like I hit a lot of bugs with a lot of red stuff in it. I don't know what it is. Looks like blood of some kind. You can see I got my work cut out for me. I'm going to disassemble some of this, some of the fairing parts to allow me to clean it a little better, because it certainly is dirty. He certainly is dirty. Let's take a look at the belly plate. See what that looks like. We'll get down here. Okay, the belly plate got dirty, but I don't see any major scrape marks on it. I went down a lot of rocky roads, so I'm glad I had it on there, because I could hear rocks hitting it from time to time. So the belly plate there, I'm going to give it a thumbs up, and it worked for me. We'll now check the oil. I'm using AMSOIL, the ones for motorcycles, and I got, like I said, 9,000 on the bike. Let's clear the, I'm going to clear the dipstick here. Alright, I got a clean dipstick, and we'll see what happens here. Well, I'll be darned. We're in really good shape. That's after 9,000 miles. At AMSOIL, badass stuff. I will be changing it. Maintenance I'm going to put on the bike is new oil filters, oil change. I'm going to change the rear drive oil. Major cleanup, as I've talked about before. Check all the brake pads. And look for anything that might have worn on it. But I'm pretty impressed with that oil level with that AMSOIL. Here are the numbers from the trip. My total miles now that I got on the motorcycle is 66,434. The total mileage for the trip was 9,413. And the average gas mileage for the entire trip was, I'm going to round that up to 47 miles per gallon. Depending upon my speed and the road condition, that varied from, I saw a 42 all the way up to a 54. So it was very dependent upon the road conditions and the speed that I was traveling on. I tried to use 89 octane when I could. I did burn a fair amount of 87, the only thing they had in many places. And after an 87, if I could run a tank of 91 through it, I did. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I thought I was just treating Old Blue to kind of like to a some kind of a drink. Anyway, so I'm pretty pleased with that 47 miles per gallon. That's loaded up with me and my bags on it. Gas prices were in the Arctic was somewhere around $7 a gallon. Again, I didn't question any of that. I just put it out of my mind, filled my tank up, and went down the road. I do have a F4 windshield on my bike. I'm glad I did. It took a lot of beating on this trip from bugs. Up in Canada and Alaska, every gas stop, that windshield was full of bugs. Amazing. So I washed it with all different kinds of cleaning apparatus, and I'm glad it was an F4 because I did not take any scratches that I can see, and I'm pleased with that it performed per the advertisement. My GPS just performed flawlessly on this trip. I had no trouble navigating any place in the lower 48, Canada or Alaska. It did, the GPS did exactly what I wanted to do. It took me on routes with no problem. Now, one of the features that I use, and maybe some of you don't know about, is when I wanted to look ahead at a town for hotels or such, what you can do is go to Navigate, bring up the menu, go down to Input Destination, and then go down to Point of Interest. And now here's where you go to change search areas. Now, I live in Hammond, Louisiana, and I put in there, I want to find a hotel, for instance, in Houston. Here I am in Hammond, so I put in Houston. I go back and now I've changed the search area from Hammond to Houston. So now if I go over here to hotels, what it's going to do is thinking that I'm in Houston, and it brings up a list of the Houston hotels. Now, I like Best Western, so I'm going to pan down here, and there's a Best Western Plus in Houston, and I'm going to push the button, and what it's going to do now, it's going to route me from Hammond over to that specific hotel in Houston, at Best Western and Hotel. So if I hit go, it's now calculating that route, and it's already set the plan for me. So I've used that feature a lot. You can also do it for restaurants if you like, but I typically use it for hotels, and it's works very well for me. I used it a lot, matter of fact. I'm now going to discuss what I took with me, and basically what I used, and if I was to do it again, what I would take again with me. Now notice I've taken the clothes bags off, the duffel bags and whatnot. Bottom line is, I took too many clothes. I didn't really know exactly how many to take, but I took more than what I needed. For me, 2 changes of clothes is all that I would have needed. I took about, I don't know, 3 or 4 different shirts, 2 sweatshirts, and I didn't need that. I could have got by with 1 sweatshirt, for instance, a couple of short sleeve shirts. But anyway, that's where I'm at. On another long trip, I won't take as much. Now, I'm going to go through each saddlebag, and I did it before I took the trip. We'll do it again, and I'll comment on what worked and what didn't work, and would I do it again. So I'm going to start with the left saddlebag. Okay, in here, this is a tire pump. I used it to adjust my tire pressures as I needed to, depending upon altitude, which gives you a temperature difference, or excuse me, a pressure difference, and also temperature, which gives you a pressure difference. So I used this. I would highly recommend it. I would take it again. In here, in this bag, is a basically a device that can start your bike if you have a low battery or a bad battery. I did not have to use this. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It's one of those safety precautions, and I'm glad I didn't need to use it, but I would take it again, most assuredly. Excuse me, my drone, my DJI drone, I did not use it at all, and for a couple of reasons. In the US, you're not allowed to fly drones in national parks, and a lot of places where I was at was national parks. And in Canada, non-residents aren't allowed to fly drones at all in Canada. So between the Canadian and the US restrictions in national parks, I really didn't use it. I'd like to have, but I never found the opportunity to do it. This contained some of my GoPro attachments for my camera. I did use some of those attachments. These are the battery clips for this unit right here. They plug into the end. They plug into the end there. Again, I would definitely take that again. Here's my flashlight. Yes, I would take that again. I didn't need it, but I'd take it again. And most importantly, in both saddlebags is the 1 gallon container of gas. Now, I did not have to use the gas, but it was, would I do it again? Absolutely, and here's the reason why. I had 1 gallon in each saddlebag. On some of those longer stretches between gas stations, it got down, my gas gauge got down around 70 miles left. I get a little nervous at that point. So, but by having these 2 extra gallons, it gave me a mental relief, if you will, that I had a good 100 miles left if I needed to use the gas in the two 1 gallon containers. So absolutely, on a long trip, I would definitely take them. On around short trips in the US, no, I wouldn't be taking them. I don't see a need for that. Here's the right saddlebag. Bear spray. I did see a lot of bears. Would I take it again? Well, if I have room. I didn't use it. I was cautious about how close they would get to me. If I had room, especially up in northern Canada, I'd take it. In the lower 48, I would not be taking it. The string, this rope, I took it on a, okay, let's just take it along. Do it again. I don't know what I use it for, but I'll do it again. Duct tape, I'd take it again. Didn't have to use it. Flares, I didn't use them. If I have room, I would take them. Just again, kind of like insurance. I didn't need them. My water straw, my life straw, I didn't need it. Had plenty of water. In the lower 48, I would not be taking it. I would take it again if I went to Alaska. My multimeter, I would take it again. I didn't have to need it. I didn't need it, but I would take it again. I would take the tire patching kit. I'll leave that at these. I leave these in my bike. I'll take it again. The octane booster. I didn't need it. I could always find at least 87 octane, no matter where I was at. I did burn 87 every now and then, and I guess just to give my bike a treat, after an 87, I would do a 91. Probably didn't need to do that, but I typically like to I like to run with an 89, and that's what I did the majority of the trip. This is a bag of tools that fits my bike. I would take them again. And here's the gas, 1 gallon gas tank on the right side. And as I explained, on a long trip like to Alaska, I would do it again just for mental comfort. And these are just goes to the multimeter. So that's a summary of what I took initially and what I would take again. I would, it turned out I didn't do too bad in taking along items that I would take again on a long trip.